In the previous video we covered how to create an AWS free tier account. In this video, we're going to break down AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM, a powerful tool that helps you securely control access to AWS resources. Whether you're managing a small project or a large enterprise, IAM is essential to keep your AWS environment secure. Let's dive right in. AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM, allows you to manage who can access your AWS account and what actions they're allowed to perform. It's all about two key concepts: authentication and authorization. We're going to explain authentication and authorization in AWS using a simple analogy. Imagine someone knocking on the door of your house. You wouldn't just let them in without knowing who they are, right? Well, the same goes for managing access in AWS. First, let's talk about authentication, which answers the question, who are you? Think of this like someone knocking on your door. Before you let them in, you want to know, who is this person? Maybe they show you their ID, or you recognize their face and know they're your friend. This is how authentication works. It's all about verifying the identity of the person trying to get in. In AWS, authentication is the process where users prove who they are by logging in with a username and password, or through multi-factor authentication. Just like how you wouldn't let a stranger into your house, AWS doesn't grant access without knowing who the person is. When you first create an AWS account, you'll notice there's a single identity with access to everything. This is known as the root account user. It has full control over all resources, so it's important to keep this account secure and use it only for critical tasks like managing billing or creating new IAM users. For day-to-day operations, AWS recommends creating IAM users. Each user gets their own login credentials and can be assigned specific permissions based on their role in the organization. This way, you limit access to just what's necessary, instead of relying on the root account. Once someone is authenticated, the next question is, what can they do? This is where authorization comes in. Authorization is about assigning permissions that define what resources a user can access and what actions they can perform. This is handled using IAM policies. Okay, let's go back to our simple analogy. So now you've let your friend in, but the next question is, what are they allowed to do? Just because they're inside your house doesn't mean they have access to everything. Maybe they can have coffee, but not the expensive tea you've been saving for special occasions. Or, maybe they can hang out in the living room but not enter your bedroom. This is what authorization is all about. Once a person is authenticated, you decide what they're allowed to do. Permissions are set using policies, simple JSON files that dictate what a user or group is allowed to do. For example, you can create a policy that grants a user access to specific S3 buckets or EC2 instances. These policies can be applied to individual users, groups of users, or roles. Speaking of roles, IAM also allows you to create roles, which are like permission sets that can be temporarily assumed by users or even AWS services, such as an application that needs to interact with an S3 bucket. Roles provide secure, short-term access without the need for long-term credentials. To ensure a secure environment, it's important to follow IAM best practices. This includes using the principle of least privilege, meaning users should only have access to what they need and nothing more. It also means regularly reviewing permissions, using multi-factor authentication, and setting up logging to monitor access. To sum up, IAM in AWS is all about managing who can access your resources through authentication and what they can do with those resources through authorization. With IAM, you have full control over your AWS environment, keeping it secure and efficient. If this guide was helpful, make sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more quick tech tutorials. Don't forget to check the description on this video for additional resources and explore other related videos on this channel. See you in the next video.